Now I know I'm a little bit late to the party. Um, this game's been out for a while now, but there's something special about Mafia games to me. There's something special about mob stories to me, and it makes me want to go back and experience the greats again. I've been rewatching The Sopranos during lockdown, obviously, as I'm sure a lot of people have, and that made me really yearn for good mob stories again, good mafia stories again. And so I went back and I played Mafia, and it was brilliant. I loved it. And I went back and I played Mafia 2, and then I played Sopranos Road to Respect. It's not very good, but I'd never played it before, so I gave it a chance. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I made a video before which I thought was a bit dismissive, a bit too harsh on the new Mafia remake. And I decided, since I made a video on that, on the trailer for the Mafia remake, I should really play the Mafia remake itself. So that's what I did. I bought it and I played through it. So let's talk about the Mafia remake. Now, before we get into this, I think I should stress the Mafia remake is a good game. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's captivating. I can sit there and I can play it for hours, and I did do that while making this. Sure, there are moments where it gets very frustrating, moments that feel like bullshit, moments that I'm not a big fan of. I don't like the way they've changed certain things. I don't like the way they've added to certain missions. But then again, on the other hand, I like some of the changes they've made as well. I think fleshing out Sarah was a good idea. I like seeing more of the relationship between her and Tommy. I thought some of the changes they made to certain characters worked quite well. I liked the way they did Frank in this. But really, there's two sides to this coin, so I want to break it up and go through things bit by bit. Firstly, the story is primarily the same. There are minor alterations to bits and pieces, but it doesn't really break anything up. A weird one was, in the original game, you're stealing cigars, and it turns out there's diamonds smuggled in the cigars, and that's why they're upset, because, hey, why didn't Salieri tell us that that there were diamonds in the cigars? Well, they changed it in this. You're told that you're stealing diamonds in cigar boxes, but it's actually black tar heroin in cigar boxes. So it's like, I get it. Oh, the drug trade is bad and all, and it's trying to make Salieri a worse character. But why? Him hiding the fact that he was smuggling in diamonds is good enough anyway. Like, that's a good enough reason to not trust him. I played through the game on classic difficulty, and I never really got stuck anywhere for too long. Sure, there were a couple of bullshit segments, like stealth segments that weren't very well done, but it wasn't that bad overall. Hell, nothing was really that difficult. Not even the infamous racing level that was legitimately pretty difficult in the original game. And that kind of brings me on to the first thing I want to talk about. When playing in classic difficulty, the driving is set to simulation. It's very different from the original. It doesn't feel anything like an actual like old school style car. It's still very arcadey, and I'm sure a lot of people like that arcadey sort of style, but I personally don't. This arcadey style is kind of mixed with a GTA 4 slipperiness. So you just have these very slidey arcadey cars that I don't really get any satisfaction out of driving them. They're fine, they're not horrible, they're not horrendous, but they are a bit, meh, really. When it came to the driving, I was hoping for something like the original Mafia, or Mafia 2. I like Mafia 2's driving actually a lot more, but really what we got was something more akin to Mafia 3's mixed with GTA 4. This kind of very arcadey but slidey car style, which I'm sure a lot of people find fun. I fucking hate it. And it made the driving segments a chore. Sure, so you have in the options, you can turn off drives. Like, you can turn off the driving segments, so they obviously knew the driving wasn't that fun. Which kind of begs the question, why didn't you do something different with it then? Why not aim for something that was enjoyable? Whatever. This kind of goes into the whole idea where they've made the game a lot more streamlined to suit a newer style of player. Someone who wants to swap from action to action to action to action and doesn't want those nice long, very atmospheric drives. Overall, the driving isn't awful, but it's really not what I expected or hoped from this game. Now we're on to the gunplay, and it's been drastically overhauled from the original. Obviously, it's X many years later, and we're in a completely different engine now. They did try to bring some things back, like one of my favorite mechanics from the original, which is when you empty a magazine, you lose whatever bullets are left in it. Unfortunately, the way it's been implemented affects all guns. So say you shot 3 rounds out of your revolver. You go to reload it, take out the 3 spent shells, put in some new ones. You just throw all your ammo on the floor. It's done, kaput. You get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. And it's like, why? You're only reloading those. Those are hand-loaded most of the time anyway. And in the game, they are hand-loaded. Why did you get rid of all of them? You could have just taken 3 out, put 3 new ones in. It's a minor thing. It's a minor nitpick. But I do like the fact that they've got an option to allow you to just lose that ammo. It's what I had on the whole time, because it makes firefights much more engaging. I've got to think, do I risk it? Do I want to lose, I don't know, a quarter of the magazine that I've got left? Or do I want a full one? Can I afford to do that? And it makes it engaging, it makes it fun. It adds an element of strategy to the game, which I really like, I really jive with, But that's kind of all the good I have to say about it. The gunplay feels pretty alright. It's, the game's still in the same engine as Mafia 3, and it seems like a lot of the animations and the gunplay itself has just been ported over from that game. I know a lot of people really like the gunplay in Mafia 3. I personally didn't really like it very much. But this has been modified, and I enjoyed it a bit more this time around. The gun sway was fine. Recoil was alright. It wasn't great, but it was fine. And it was a lot of fun most of the time. Which it kind of has to be, since this game is dead set on every single thing being a gunfight. You can't really sneak around like you could in the original. I'm sure we all remember the manor level from the original game. In this, you have to sneak into the manor of a prosecutor to find the evidence against the Salieri crew. You break in with this safe cracker, and you've got to break in. You've got to break in stealthily. You get in, you crack the safe, and then you can choose to sneak out or just fight your way out. It's a choice. In this, you've got no choice. You fight your way out. In the original, I remember taking my time and sneaking out with him, and then he broke into the bloke's car. We nicked his car. In this, you have to fight your way out, and then you take his car. That's part of the thing. You've got to take that car. You've got to fight your way out. You can't sneak it, and he won't follow you if you try to sneak out the back instead. Nope. When talking about the guns, we've got to again appreciate the fact that you do have a very limited arsenal. It's not the end of the world, but it is quite limited. You get a Tommy gun, you get an M1911, you get 3 different types of revolvers, which is the pocket revolver, the service revolver, and the Magnum. And then you get a shotgun, you get a double-barrel shotgun, and a pump action. And you get 2 rifles, which are the bolt-action rifle and the sniper rifle. Sniper rifle, actually, I want to talk about quickly, because you don't get to use the sniper rifle very much. And when you do get it, it's in a really poorly designed area for it. Like, I don't get why they would do that. I get the sniper rifle. I was like, oh, cool. I want to use the sniper rifle. I've not had a sniper rifle before. So I start using it, and everyone's too close. Like, you don't have anywhere you can sit back and snipe. Like, but you don't have anywhere you can sit back. You don't have a great line of sight. And anywhere you do sit, people can still shoot you because they're not that far away from you. Well, what's the fucking point in having a sniper rifle then? I might as well just use my M1911 and my Tommy gun and run forward and kill them all. You know? And that's kind of the problem. I never felt like I had to play smart. I never felt like I had to really think carefully before I got into situations. Pretty much every single gunfight in the game, you can kind of just run and gun. And I want it to be more tactical. In the original, I had to make sure I used the cover that was there. And you didn't have a cover mechanic. So it was, right, I can go down crouch. That gives me a smaller reticle. It gives me a smaller aiming point. You know? But it gives me a smaller target spread. So I've got a narrower spread. So crouch down. And then I can inch around corners to get good angles on my enemies. That was fun. It was tactical without being overly tactical. They didn't bring back the old inventory system, which I was a bit sad about. I loved the old inventory system. You had X amount of pockets, and then you could hide one big weapon in your jacket. So whether that was a baseball bat or a rifle or a shotgun or whatever. And then you had all your different pistols you could pile out of different pockets. So say I ran out of ammo totally for my pistols, I could still swap to another pistol that had ammo in the pistol itself. It was cool, it was fun. And it made it engaging. And that's what I want. I want a game to be engaging. I want firefights to be tense. And I never got that sort of intensity in this. I never got that that tension. I never got that kind of tension in this game. And it was a shame, because it was fun. It was still a lot of fun to play. And I want to talk a little bit about the inventory. It's more or less the inventory system from Mafia 3. You get one sided weapon, one primary. So a shotgun and an M1911, or a Tommy and a revolver of some description, which is fine. Whatever, it's fine. It's not hyper engaging or anything, but it's fine. Oh, and you now get one slot for a melee weapon, so a knife, a baseball bat, or a pipe. Which again, whatever. Like, you never really use the melee weapons. Like, there's no real point to them. Because why would I use a melee weapon when I've got a shotgun? You know, I was never that scarce on ammo, so it wasn't a case where, wow, I don't want to use my ammo, and there's only like one of them there, so I'll run forward and I'll just mash Q a bunch of times. No, I could just leave it. It wasn't the end of the world. I wasn't going to run out anytime soon. I'll take out my pistol and I'll just shoot him from a distance. Easy. Now I want to get into a sin that always gets my goat. Over-scripting. Over-scripting in games would be where we take a moment, a beautiful moment from a game, where you figure out how you can escape your pursuers. Say you're driving a vehicle, you know, we're driving along all merrily, and suddenly, oh no, there's some blokes trying to kill us. They're leaning out the windows with Tommy guns. What are we gonna do? Well, I can, there's an alley up there. If I speed around the corner with the alley, they might hit the wall, hit the buildings, and then I can escape. Or if I slow down enough, they might run into other traffic if I'm smart, and if I weave about. But instead, we've got these over-scripted moments where you're shown these symbols on your mini-map. It's just drive at those, and then the game will take over and run you straight through. It's like, well, it really loses the fun. I'm not losing them. The game is showing me where to go to lose them. It's not be clever and outrun them, or be skilled at the game and cause them to hit other things. It's, here, go to the dot on the minimap and watch this cool video that we made for you. And it's boring, man. Like, I could go through that at like 2 miles an hour and it will still play the same video where they just crash and burn. It's like, well, what's the fucking point then? You might as well make this whole bit just a cutscene that I'll watch instead. But whatever, like, that's just one moment. but it keeps happening, and there keeps being moments like this where you shoot at one thing and suddenly everything goes crazy and all these people die. And it's like, well, I didn't actually do that, did I? The game has a trigger there that does it for me. And like, if it does it for me, I'm not doing shit. It's not, ooh, I threw a Molotov and that killed someone, but when he died, he shot a barrel that exploded and killed another person. Like, that'd be cool, because that's natural. That's just enemy AI doing something else. And that's where the problem comes in. A lot of things are heavily, heavily over-scripted. Car chases particularly. You get these very long scripted segments of car chases where it's just, quickly, shoot them, Tommy. Tommy, shoot them, Tommy. It's like, well, why? It doesn't do anything. We just got to follow them to X point, where they will then die anyway. And they'll die in a cutscene. There's all these moments which I'm sure look great and are very bombastic. They're very bombastic moments. They're very over the top, extravagant moments. But overall, what does that do for me? I'm not the one causing them. I'm just watching them happen. Like, give me some give me some stakes in them. Give me some driving power. Give me something so that I feel like I'm causing stuff to happen. Just let me loose in a playground and let me do what I want to do. Give me these sandboxes where I've got an objective to complete and go do them. Although there was one thing that I liked, which was a bit more scripted. In the original, you've got this bit where you're chasing a bloke down. You've got this puzzle section almost in the shipping yard. You've got to smash a tanker into this warehouse so you can get in. And I like the fact they just made it pull one lever and it'll be done. The puzzle section just wasn't very good, and I didn't know what I was meant to do when playing the original, and I ended up looking up a walkthrough. I understand why they made these choices. They wanted to make it a more over-the-top cinematic experience, which are perfectly understandable. It's very modern in its stylings. I get why they wanted a more bombastic approach. It's much more appealing to modern players, and that's who they really are appealing to. This game isn't for me. It's not really for the people who wanted something similar to the original experience. It's the new Mafia players who are there trying to get back and experience the full story. And I understand that. That makes sense. And I'm sure a lot of old players prefer this version. I prefer the old. It's how it is. This over scripting just gets my goat, boils my biscuits, you know? Now we're getting onto a subject where I know I am in the vast minority. The acting. The new actors. The new voice actors. Well, since they were modifying their story to include stuff like their motorbike chases or heroin for their diamonds, they really needed to get new voice actors in to play the characters. They were redoing all the animations, redoing all the voice acting, and so you get you get a mixed bag. It's a very, very mixed bag. Now, I'm sure in other languages it might be a bit different, but in the English, I really don't like the new voice acting. Some of it's pretty good. I like Frank, like I said before. I think Salieri has done very, very well as well. Sam is kind of hit and miss. There's moments where I quite like what they've done with Sam, and then moments where they've just made him a prick for no reason. Like, Sam was very much a mixed bag in the original. He was obviously very, very loyal to Salieri, and but also fiercely loyal to his friends. But you could see a rift growing between the characters as the game went on. In this, it kind of happens in a split second. You take down Morello, and suddenly Sam just fucking hates Paulie and Tommy for some reason. Hey, Paulie, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing here, you fucking retard? Yeah, we'll run our plans by you. Sure, bud, you fucking moron. Like, they make jokes about Paulie being retarded, pretty much, throughout the whole game. And it's like, why? Paulie isn't that dumb. Paulie has his own plans. Hell, literally the mission before, like a couple missions before this moment, Paulie has a plan that works really well. And I don't get it. I don't get why they suddenly fucking hate Paulie. big change between the original and the remake is the characterization of both Paulie and Tommy. In the original, Paulie and Tommy go after the bank job because they feel like they're being underpaid by Salieri. He's just smuggled in diamonds without them knowing, and they're not getting paid properly. They get paid for smuggling in cigars instead of the diamonds. So they go after the bank job to try make some money, to try strike it big, so they can get out of this job that they feel they're underappreciated in. This makes them a bit more relatable, because who hasn't felt underappreciated at work? Who hasn't felt like they're not getting paid what they're worth? And it's ultimately a story of how their greed is what destroys them. They had a pretty decent life working for Salieri, who, let's be fair, is a greedy motherfucker himself, but at least he was treating them right and looking after them to an extent. As long as they didn't betray him, they were in his good graces. But they overstep that. They go after the bank, they go for real money they weren't meant to have. And that ultimately gets Paulie killed, and Tommy eventually killed. While in the remake, they decide to go for a different approach. Salieri is smuggling in heroin, and lies to them, telling them that they're diamonds. They get paid right for the job, but they didn't know what they were getting into. And let's be fair, smuggling in heroin has a very steep prison sentence, so they get scared, and that's why they want to get out. Although Paulie, I suppose, is still kind of greedy because he was thinking about the bank job beforehand, but it's more about getting out. It's more about how they're scared. It's an interesting change, but personally I prefer the original. Throughout the original, Paulie was shown to be a bit gullible, a bit naive, a bit of a hothead, which made sense for his character. In this, Paulie is, like, half the time a babbling retard, and the other half a sociopath. And you don't really get any real middle ground with it. He just goes from, "Hey, Tom, like, what are we gonna do? I don't understand, Tom," to, "I'm gonna kill that bitch." And it's like, why? And this brings me up, maybe it would have been performed better if it was a better actor back there. But you don't. You've got this guy who's... listen to him.
Cow says moo and the chicken says quack. What does the bird say?
I don't know, but the security guy back there says you gotta go home.
Guy's an asshole. You should show some respect.
Oh, yeah. We've done a few pickups at the farm before. Don't worry. There ain't nothing but cow shit and shine out here. It's gonna be an easy few clams. Boys will load up the trucks, and we'll come straight back.
Your wife and kid. But that's why I'm doing this. Who's gonna marry me? Nearly 40 years old and nothing to show for it but my rap sheet. But we do this, I get enough scratch to finally get out? Who knows?
You're not built for the domestic life, Paulie. But if you're 6 months in, you'll put a bullet in your brain out of boredom.
Christ. I'm ready to punch my ticket right now. We sit around for 6 months, just playing cards and busting balls, and I start to get lazy. Then everything blows up, and I gotta knock the rust off or I'm dead. One day I'm fighting to stay awake while the Don's telling us a story about the old days. One I've already heard 100 times, and the next day I'm getting shot at, trying to keep from shitting my pants. It's fucking wearing me out, Tommy.
Hey, Tom, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's like breathing into the microphone 3 inches away from it. Jesus Christ, shut up. And it's not helped by the fact that Paulie is, like, essentially Tommy's best friend. So you spend half the game with Paulie, and I can't stand this guy. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just, all I can hear from him half the time is... It's like, I don't want to hear you breathing into the microphone, you fucking invalid. In the original, Paulie was a very Joe Pesci-esque character. He's very similar to the Tommy character in Goodfellas, in fact. In this, he's much more strange, to say the least. He's half the time a buffoon and half the time a sociopath. Sure, like, he's drunk, He was a bit of a drinker in the original, but now he's drunk and babbling like an imbecile every other minute. And when he's not doing that, he's wheezing in his new high-pitched whine about how he needs to beat someone up to feel happy. And it's just... It's very, very estranged from the original Paulie we knew. And it makes him very weird to be around. Not to mention the constant heavy breathing into the microphone that the actor was doing. Now, I'm not sure if the director in their audio sessions had an ASMR fetish, but I think he might have. Because, tell you what, Paulie would have been a great ASMR actor. He was just born in the wrong time. If he was around now, he could be on Twitch doing mobster ASMR. Now, he's constantly disrespected in this version as well. I mean, he wasn't high up in the original, but he was respected by people. He was known as being a rather violent thug for Salieri and being fiercely loyal to him. So, you kind of understood his struggle. And you saw him slowly become more and more disillusioned. While in this, it kind of happened just in an instant. Oh, we got heroin for Salieri. Well, I don't like him anymore, and we're going to do a bank robbery now. Why? Like, he wasn't like this 20 minutes ago, when we were in a different mission. It just happens. There was no build-up to it. You could kind of see that happening with the original Paulie, because he was very much a go-getter, very much a, right, I want this, I'm getting it now sort of character. Well, in this, again, he's just kind of a whiny bitch. This kind of brings me on as well, because something I complained about was how they started having people getting shot and, like, Paulie crying all the time. It's like, oh, it's more realistic. Yeah, totally more realistic. I mean, tanks coming after them, that's more realistic. Oh, Sam being fucking Rambo and getting shot instead of just getting beaten up. That's more realistic. There's lots of shit in this that isn't more realistic. And so you can't hide behind the, oh, it's a more realistic game thing. Because it's not. The original is more realistic. It's more violent, really. You've got more physical violence rather than gun violence in the original. You've got these people who are just laying into them, beating the shit out of Sam, and that's why Sam has to go to the hospital. I think that's a bit more scary than, oh, he's fucking Rambo and then suddenly gets shot. Like, why? Irrelevant. It's not really what I need to talk about. This was the acting section. Acting overall, pretty good. They picked a really good actress for Sarah, actually. That's my favourite new bit, really, to the game, is the interactions between Tommy and Sarah, and I kind of wish we had more of that. They actually seem to have a bit of chemistry. You see their relationship grow, and it really does... It does a lot for the story, and really adds more stakes to the end where Tommy gets shot. Like, suddenly you see this relationship between Sarah and Tommy, rather than, oh, Tommy walked Sarah home once, and then they fucked, like it was in the original. It's good. I like it. It's a nice addition. There's a few characters who were cut out as well, which have gotten plenty of people's goats, but I understand why they did it. They wanted to make, again, just a more streamlined experience, so they removed characters like Yellow Pete. When it comes to the bank robbery, you don't have to go to Yellow Pete to get guns. Paulie just has them. You don't have to go find a car. It's all set up for you, and I get that. They want it to be more streamlined. They don't want anything to drag out. Loss of identity. Now, this is a interesting segment that I wanted to get onto. This doesn't really apply a lot to the main game, although there are little things like references being cut out of stuff in the main story. That's kind of irrelevant. And of course, we've lost all of Luca's side missions, where you go and fight Big Dick and other beautiful characters like that. So you lose kind of the charm, the comedy aspect to it. just purely in the main game. But then we go over to Free Ride. Free Ride, I think, was a lot of people's favorite part of the original. Personally, I know I spent a hell of a lot more time playing Extreme Free Ride than I did just playing the story, because there was so much more to do, whether it was chasing down Speedy Gonzales or hunting for the Easter eggs in there. There was a lot of really fun stuff to do just in Free Ride Extreme. And they kind of try to bring stuff back. Like you've got side missions and stuff you can do in Free Ride, and you've still got all those collectibles you can go after, but it's really not the same. And I can't help but feeling that it misses a lot of that. I feel like I miss a lot of the personality of the original game because of that. And that makes me sad. That really is a shame. Overall, is the game good? Yes, it's fun. It is incredibly fun to play, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who enjoyed Mafia 2 and 3. Now, if they want an authentic Mafia experience, play the original, no doubt. I prefer the original. I think I would recommend the original above this. But if you can't put up with the old controls, the losses of the quality, there's a lot of quality of life improvements in the new game that are kind of typical of any modern video game. You have the cover mechanics, you have the dots telling you where to go. You've got the HUD with far too much information on it, the mini map, and it is very, very different from the original, where you had to hold down a letter to bring up your map, so you could see where you're going while driving. Only thing on your mini map would show you where your enemies were, and I wanted that. I wish I could have turned that off, but turning on minimal HUD just turns everything off, and you just get left with the waypoint on the screen. It's like, I don't want a waypoint on the screen. Can I turn the waypoint off? That's kind of the thing. It's very hand-holdy. It's very modern video gamey. And I don't like that. It's a fun game. It's worth playing. Everything about the game is different. It is a completely different experience playing this and playing the original. The only real similarities are the stories and general mission structure. But so much is changed, or lost in translation in a way, I suppose. In a world where we haven't got a good Mafia 4 game yet, I'd say play that all day. It's fun. I'm sure I'm going to go back and play it again at some point. But I don't think I'll play it as often as I played the original. And I don't think I'll play it as often as I played 2 either. It's an oddity in a lot of ways. And I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. It's not very helpful in a review, but it's how it is. Thanks for watching the video. I know it's not the Gale video like I was hoping to have out first, but that's still in the works and it's going to take a while. If you watched this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment telling me what you thought of the game if you've played it, and come join the Discord if you want to talk more about it. I've been Mr. Talks. Thanks for watching. Bye.